Running for the session of Azure Power Lunch. Just a quick disclaimer that we record these calls, place our recordings on our YouTube channel. So if you are not comfortable with it, you may want to drop off now. Okay. So with that, our topic of discussion today, we have a couple of small but very important updates, I think, in my opinion, at least dealing with my customer or customers that I deal with. I'm sure you have seen that in your organizations as well or with your customer. One is the Azure Resource Graph Get List, which is the ability to um, do a get and list API with a very high quota, and that's the one we're going to first take a look at. The second one is the ability to set up alerts and metrics across the multiple Azure storage account. And we will also take a look at that, both of these. So let's quickly start with our first topic, which is the Azure Resource Graph Get List API public preview. This is feature is in public preview, just FYI. So first of all, I think everybody knows about Azure Resource Graph. That's the uh, KQL-based interface mostly that you use to access Azure ARM data. By behind the scene, it is calling REST API. So basically, this is the interface over REST API. Okay, a number of organizations use this to access information from ARM for different purposes, diagnostic, logging, or kind of to get a list of resources, all different type of purposes that access this data. So what problem we are solving here? So here is it, the problem statement and the proposed solution. The problem we are addressing, a number of times the apps or these programs or services, they're calling ARM, and most of these queries are read, get list or get a particular VM or get list of VMs, things like that. And you come and those requests fail because of ARM throttling. Okay, think of it. You're calling these, making these requests, a number of teams. I mean, there's like kind of a computing consumer issue, and you come across this quota, and here we go. There is an issue with the quota, and those requests fail. You have to retry them or ask to increase the quota, all of that. Here comes the proposed solution, which is, or not solution that is in public preview, which is Azure Resource Graph Get List API, which offers a higher quota, 4K. Okay, and this is a moving quota, and we'll talk about it, and allows you to get and list, do the get and list operation at a high scale. So basically, what you can do is if you're doing get and list operations, you can do that through this new API. And by the way, this is not a new API. You will see this is basically just you are adding a another query string to the API, and that's all there is to it. So we'll take a look at it. So first of all, let's talk about the quota. Let's get an explanation. So the quota is, instead of like 15 requests per minute, which is ARM, it is 4K per minute per user per subscription. So let's say that I am a user A, I am accessing a subscription, I have 4K quota for making these calls per minute for me. And then I'm accessing subscription Y, same quota. That's a separate quota. I get 4K. So this is a separate quota, but same number, 4K. So basically, I make one call there, one call there. My remaining quota is 3999. Okay. And same way, the user B comes in to the subscription, they get a separate quota. So think of it, moving quota, it's user and subscription based. Okay. So that's very important to keep in mind. And it's 4,000 requests per minute while you're using this API. And it also has a header. So when you make this call, you get this header back in the response, which tells you how many calls are remaining. Okay. So that's kind of tells you like, okay, this is if you have quota full, is 4,000, and you're making these calls, one, two, three, four. So each time that number will decrement, and it will tell you like what is the remaining quota, and when the quota will reset after. So basically, it will give you the window as well. Very nice. I mean, so far what I have seen with this API looks really cool, and we will look in the demo as well. So let's go further here. Any questions so far? Okay. And it's very easy to call. There is no need to change your API. So you are calling this API like that. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to add this extra parameter. At this moment, use resource graph. Just keep in mind it's in public preview. So it may or may not change. We don't know. But at this moment, this is add use resource graph is equal to true. That's it. And you are going uh, and you're using a different quota now. Okay, 4K. That's the quota that you're going to be using, and you can use it for different resources, compute resources. Go ahead. A question. Okay, you can use it for all different resources, and basically, um, uh, the important part here is it can be used for collections as well as individual resources. So that's the cool part here. Um, so that's that. Let's quickly move on. So just adding this extra parameter at the end, and that's pretty much it. Okay. When should be using this? First of all, this is not for write operation, as I said. This is only for get. So if any of your applications that are making, a number of get requests, simple get requests, which you cannot batch. I mean, these requests are individually made. Let's say that there's an app that is getting every VM in your collection. There are hundreds of VMs. Probably that's an area where you may want to use this API because that will use this 4K quota. Then you may have some place where you're getting VMs, a collection of VMs from each subscription for doing something. I mean, finding out about their usage or whatever. I mean, you may diagnostic tool may be doing. That's an area where you may want to use this API because that's the area where you have a risk of getting throttled. Okay, so or have competing in quota usage with other workloads. So that's where you may want to use it. Okay, any questions, folks, before we jump into the demo? Okay, so let's go in. And so here I am. I am in the Azure Resource Manager playground. The way you get it, you just go to Resource Graph Explorer, and I am here. So let me increase the font size a little bit so everybody can see it clearly. I can tell you that I'm very much nearsighted and I need to see big numbers on the screen. So that's why. Okay, anyways, so this is, so what we're going to do, first of all, we are going to make a regular uh, ARM request. And want to show you, I have this VM and I have this resource group. That's what's going to be focusing on. So what I'm doing is I am just getting this VM. That's it. Okay, the information about this VM. So here we go. I go into um, here, one second, and I go into the resource manager and I'm going to paste this URL. This is just a get, and let's execute it. Oh, sorry, I totally forgot about the API version. Never mind. So I'm going to go in here and add the API version. Okay. So this gives me a list of VM information, and we can take a look at it. This is that's what you get. So now let me do the same request, and just to prove the point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this entire URL just to show you like we are not doing any kind of hand wringing, any magic here. So with that, I'm gonna add the uh, query string, and the query string is use resource graph equal to true. So that's the query string I'm adding. Nothing, no magic, nothing. And I'm going to execute. And this time it returns the same data, exactly the same data, but it is coming from a different endpoint. Okay. And remember, we talked about the resource headers. So before we do that, let's look at a collection now. Okay. So I'm going adding a new request and I'm just doing a collection. So I'm just getting virtual machine, all the virtual machine that are in my resource group, pasted here, and I'm going to add the version number here as well. Let me add. Okay, so same thing. This is giving me the collection. So I'm going to execute the collection. And here we go. So this is giving me all the VMs that are there in this particular resource group. Okay. And by the way, I'm not interested in looking at the data of the VM, you know what it is. And if I make the same request, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this here. And once again, same thing. I'm going to copy this use resource graph is equal to true from here. And as you can see here, same thing. Okay, so now let's look at the response header. So first of all, as I said, you can do get and request queries. You just need to make sure um, get and list queries. You can just need to make sure you use this use resource graph. And let's look at the response header. Okay, so these are the response headers that they were talking about. So this is the so first of all, this is the remaining quota, and the quota resets after this time. Okay. So basically, this is per minute. Since 1 minute has elapsed, that quota is turned to zero. Let's make a few quick calls. Okay, and you will see this quota, um, go, go down. But since we are making it, very quickly, so that's why I think this thing is not changing a number. But so that will give you, and by the way, this is still in public preview. So that's what will give you the information when your quota is expiring. So if the quota goes down, then you basically, you will know how many requests, the remaining requests you may have. Okay, so just quickly wrapping up on this one. Any questions, folks? Okay. So quickly wrapping up on that. So this is Get List API for Azure Resource Graph. This is currently in public preview. Allows you to call Get and List API with very large quota of 4K requests per minute per subscription per user, and that's a moving quota. Uh, you know, this gives you a big number, and it supports all resource and compute resources. But there are some limitations since it's public preview, um, and only the latest GA version of the resource types are supported. If there is any private preview or public preview, it will not be supported. And at this moment, uh, it's only work with REST API and SDK. There is no PowerShell, CLI, or portal support. Okay. And if you get 425, 422 error, then you need to go back to the resource provider, basically removing this use resource graph. So you have to go there, or remove the flag. So basically, that's what you have to do if you get the 422 error. Okay, so that's pretty much it on the Azure Resource Graph Get List API. I think this is a kind of a very important feature as your customer take advantage of Azure Resource Graph without hitting or trying to avoid these quota limits. Okay, so come with the now we come up with the second talk about the second feature that I want to discuss, which is cross resource metrics and alert for Azure storage. So what that is all about. So let's say that you have an application, okay, and this is a big application, multiple components in a resource group, or maybe it's spanning multiple resource groups. Okay, um, since it's made up of many services and it has multiple resource storage uh, account in that blob, queue, table, all of that, and you want to see metrics across these storage account. Okay, this features allow you to do that, and you want to set up alerts across these storage accounts. Okay, and this is the feature which allows you, gives you the capability to set up. This has just been released, allow you to set up the capability to set up these alerts and metrics across blob, file, table, and queue. Okay, you can do centralized monitoring, you can do fleet wise alerting. So think of it all, your application, you can in kind of a, you can set up alerts in collectively. So that's the important, and that helps uh, within your organization when you are setting up these alerts and metrics to reduce the time or kind of operational overhead that they have to do to set these things up. So this feature is all about very recently made available. So let's see. I think the picture was 1,000 words, so we're gonna see it with a demo. So here we go. So here I am. I am on Azure portal. Let's see. Okay, I am gonna go into the Azure monitor and I'm gonna go into metrics and I'm gonna create a new chart. So first of all, I'm gonna go in here and create a new chart. And I'm going to pick this subscription Azure internal for projects. And instead of all resources, I'm just going to pick storage account. Okay. Okay. Storage accounts. And then I am going to pick a few storage account that I know I'm using. And uh, just keep in mind, okay, so this is important. Once I pick I can uh, do the grouping, but the grouping has to be of the same capability. Like if I pick blob, okay, so now what's gonna do is all other service types like the queue file, I cannot select. I can only select blob. So let's say I am just selecting these few blobs. Let's do that here. That I want to do comparison, okay, or have these matrix together. So first of all, grouping these matrix together. So once again, if I choose, so I cannot do blob and table. I can do in a single scope. I have to do one type. So I have to do either blob, table, queue, or file. Okay, I cannot mix them. Just keep that in mind. So as you can see, all blob are here. So let's add them. And by the way, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to pick, let's say, egress or something. Okay, so this is what shows here, and then I'm gonna go in here, and here I can pick more resources. So let's say that these are all my accounts, and I'm gonna pick all of them. You know, in this subscription, I want to do it for all. Let's say that this subscription is for my application and I want to measure all these storage accounts. Okay. So now I am looking at collective matrix. This is showing me the matrix for all collective one, and this if I can go in and change things and all that. So you see here everything grouped together. I can see what is their values individually. I can see it. I can see. So give me a holistic picture um, of all the storage accounts that I'm interested in. I mean, it may be an app developer, it may be an infrastructure person, okay, who is responsible for maintaining and looking at metrics of all of these storage account for file, where they may have file share, or where they have maybe storing some data for backup. So they want to look at all of these accounts, so they can look at this way. And once again, as I said, I just did for blob. You can do the same thing for table, same thing for queue, but just keep in mind you cannot have blob and table in the same matrix. Okay, doesn't make any sense. So you will have blobs with all the other blobs, table with all the other tables from different storage accounts, and queues for from others. So that's that. Okay. So, but the fun doesn't end here. The good thing is I can create a alert as well. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna not create the alert. I just gonna show you how does it look like. So this is the threshold, and I've just put some value there. I just wanna. The goal is to show you like how how it will generate the alert, and I think you will be very happy to see it. Okay. And then I'm going to use an action group. I have an action group right now, so I'm just going to pick that action group. So that action group is chosen. Next detail. Let's quickly go into, yeah, I know it's asking some details somewhere. Okay, alert rule name, demo alert. We are not going to actually create it, but I just want to show you what. So it's going to create, remember all the storage accounts that we picked? It's going to create alert for all of them. Okay. So basically this alert rule will be for all of the storage accounts. Okay. So whenever any one of them goes beyond that limit, it's going to raise this alert. Okay, so this is kind of a combining. Instead of creating alert, I go into each account and set up the alert. It is setting up alert at a group level. So by grouping it, by combining it together, I am saving a lot of time, saving a lot of overhead while creating these metrics and alerts. Okay, and I'm kind of seeing those values on the same chart, setting the alert from the same chart. So that's what this feature is all about. So just quickly going back to the slide deck, just some final thoughts on this topic. Um, that basically this simplifies the ability to monitoring and monitoring at scale. So you can set up alerts, see matrix and alerts, kind of set those up for multiple storage account, very quickly. And it supports at this moment it supports blob, queue, file, and table. Just keep in mind you cannot have blob and queue. You have to have this when you're grouping together. It will be blob service from all the storage account, queue service from all the storage account, file service from all the storage account. And of course when you have these type of features that kind of help you enhance the performance and reliability of your application. So with that, that's all I have for today. Any questions, folks? I hope you find this content really useful.
Sorry, a quick question. When you create,
Please.
yes, when you create a group of alert, for example, for block storage, for queue storage, you
Hmm.
can make an actions that integrate the both, for example, right? For
Yeah,
example, it's possible, right? It's create an action that the action integrate with the other group, for example, to make, yeah,
yeah. I mean, yeah,
it's
I can absolutely. I mean, you can use a new action group or existing action group. Yeah, absolutely.
super. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's there.
it's
But
very useful. Yeah,
yeah. So the thing is, sorry, I didn't spend too much time on it because my thing was, look, you can when you're creating it, it's creating it for like 18 resources together, you know, and that's good because you have everything in one place, so you can see it. You can see, okay, I have that alert I set up. This is at one place, so that's why I sorry I didn't focus on the manage, the action group. Yes, you can use any action group that you want.
Super. Thank you.
Any other questions, folks? Okay. Thank you very much for joining, and hope you have a wonderful rest of the day or and a great weekend, and hope to see everybody next week for another Azure Powerline session.
Thank you.
Thank you.